3, 2, talk. Hello, CrossFit Fortem community. We are back. Episode 4 of Fortem Talk.
Let's go.
Let's go. My name is Nick, here with Josh again.
Hello.
What's up? This is another episode on nutrition.
Your favorite.
Everyone's favorite. I need it. You need it.
Hey, I need it all the time.
Everybody needs it,
Yep.
right? So let's start off with a question.
Yeah.
Josh, what is something you're enjoying with your nutrition as of late?
Jackie right now is kind of playing with how she's making chicken thigh. We eat a lot of protein.
Really?
And yeah, a lot of protein. I think my protein number is 215. You gave me that number.
I did.
So
give
thanks to you.
That's a lot.
So yeah, I've been playing. Can't always eat steak, I guess. So yeah, we're having chicken thigh, and she's been making it in the way that tastes really, really good. So if you want to try this, do it. So you take the chicken thigh, put it in the cast iron skillet, a little bit of avocado oil, just a little bit, right? Because that counts as fat. And then you put in some coconut aminos on there, and then garlic salt and smoked paprika.
Okay.
And a little bit of salt and minced garlic. Mix it all up, crisp it on both sides, cook it good.
Crisp is key.
Oh man, I've been shoveling that down lately.
Nice.
So that's something that I've been enjoying. A little play on chicken thigh.
Okay. Nice. I love eggs for lunch.
Wow.
It's kind of weird, outside the box, I guess. Normally eggs, you think breakfast, but I would really often have the combo of whole eggs, egg whites, cottage cheese, and some other cheese, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's Parmesan or something else.
Wow.
And all kind of separate on a plate. And then I was like, wait a second.
Like hard boiled?
No. Like cooked.
Like you're
fried
you're
eggs.
scrambling.
Yeah. But one day I was like, what if I just combine all these things? So I threw it in a blender, blend all those things together, and then cook it like scrambled eggs. Amazing. It makes this like cloud egg fluffy action going on there. Cottage cheese, whole eggs, egg whites, and cheese all together. It's amazing.
So today we're talking about a topic that we see a lot in the world, especially in the nutrition world with social media, internet. A lot of people talk about it. When is it helpful to draw hard lines in nutrition? And when can it actually do more harm than good? Something I think is very important to talk about.
For sure. If you're ever approaching changing your nutrition, you got a lot of voices out there. A lot of people saying you need to go hard in the direction of rules. You need to have really specific things that you're adhering to with your nutrition. And then you can also have people on the total other side of the spectrum saying you need to have just freedom with your nutrition and it's too restrictive and you're not going to have success if you just try and stick to something too difficult. So what we're saying is we want to help you find something that's sustainable.
Yep.
We're going to talk about some really common hard lines that we see out there and kind of troubleshoot them, talk about things that are helpful and things that are not helpful. And it really comes down to, which we'll touch on more and you'll see as we dive into each of these principles over methods. You can get really specific with methods, but key foundational principles are going to be the key here.
Yeah. And yeah, when I talk to people about nutrition, I see these things come up all the time. So I'm glad that we're going to dive into these.
Let's do it. So let's start with the positives of drawing hard lines.
Yeah.
So it's not all negative having rules around your nutrition. They can be helpful, especially for us as humans, to say like, these are my guardrails. These are the lanes that I need to stay in. Yeah. So boundaries can bring structure. They can help you continue to progress. But we need to be thoughtful and intentional about those things.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some. So first, helpful hard line is parting ways with obviously harmful food choices.
Yeah, good one.
There are things that are very clearly not good for you, right?
Right. And we all know it.
For sure. Yeah. Yes. We can try and rationalize it and justify it, but soda is not good for you, right? Like we can say it. Maybe there are certain special occasions that you choose that compromise is worth it to you. That's a different thing than saying like, this is good for me, right? You might say it's worth it, but you know it's not good for you. So other things that we can say with this is removing ultra processed foods from your house, right? Going back to this idea of like, there might be special occasions where these things are acceptable to you, like where having something that was super processed in the setting that it's in, maybe it's a special occasion, a birthday, whatever, that's a compromise you're making.
Yeah.
But I think we can say you're not going to have good success with your nutrition if you have a cupboard full of processed food.
Right.
Right.
And that's how I see a lot of people. If it's there, they say they're going to eat it.
Exactly.
Right. So that's kind of what we're talking about is, yeah, just remove it, and only have it on special occasions if that's something that you want to do.
You're going to be strong at staying away from it in certain moments, but there's going to be the one where you had a rough day.
Movie time.
It's late, movie time. You open the cabinet and there's Halloween candy from 9 months ago that you just hoard and hold on to. Okay.
Hey, I used to do that.
Same. You should have seen my pillowcase of Halloween candy as a kid.
Oh, no.
So we're saying in things like this, scenarios like this, there are hard lines to draw.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep these things around, right?
Yeah.
That's beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Second one. It is helpful to provide structure and accountability. I think that's something that when you think about nutrition, that's something that's really hard to get in place because you're so used to not having any structure to your food or knowing what to do. But something that I really like that you can do for the structure and accountability part is, and we do this for some people, is, okay, we're going to have 3 meals a day and 1 snack. Right? You're going to, or 3 meals and 2 snacks. You're going to structure your day so that you know, hey, I am going to eat at these times. And that really helps you stay on track throughout your day. And also, you know that you're going to have those things, then that keeps you a little bit more accountable to actually eating and getting the right amount of food in and that sort of thing. Another one, I think, is I eat protein and produce at every meal, right? That could become like a non-negotiable thing that you do, right? If you say you're going to do that and you work on that habit, getting whole food in as much as you possibly can throughout your day, through your meals, through your snacks, is really, really helpful. And I think, hey, every time I have a meal, I'm going to have a protein in there, and I'm going to have some fresh produce, like fruits, veggies, like that kind of stuff. And you can pack that. You can make those. And we'll talk about prepping. But I think those things that you can put in place to provide structure and accountability, super important.
Yeah, for sure. And it helps you. You'll see, you're probably seeing so far with these that they're firm and they're definitive. Like, I'm going to do this thing, but they're not so crazy restrictive, or there's no flexibility within them, right? So eating protein and produce at every meal still gives you some freedom of choice of like, this is the kind of protein I'm going to eat. Like, I'm going to mix it up with different variety of produce. So these are the kind of attributes of helpful rules or hard
if you
lines
put
that
them,
you're drawing.
if you want to put them in place, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So a helpful version of a hard line is something that is for a specific purpose and time, right? So it's not just this is ingrained in stone forever. So an example of something like this is cutting out grains temporarily to self-test for gut health, or trying to figure out what foods work best for you. I'm going to remove something for a certain amount of time. Right. Helpful, right? Especially with like self-experimentation and taking ownership of your nutrition. That's a good approach. That's a helpful thing.
Because nutrition is very different for a lot of people.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. But it's not saying I'm going to remove this thing forever. Like, I can't eat this, right? There's ways to treat foods that are better for you or worse for you, and figuring out how that functions.
How would you say, like, someone had the question, when should I do that? Like, or how do I know when to do that? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think it requires being aware of how your body processes food. I think a lot of times we just kind of deal with things that aren't optimal or ideal and just kind of feel like it's normal. But if you have, poor digestion, if you're not recovering well from your workouts,
bloating,
bloating, if you don't sleep well at night, none of those things are normal, right?
Right.
So you want to try and actually pay attention to how your body responds to food.
Yeah.
If you slow down around your meals, a lot of times, all of a sudden you'll notice. Most people, myself included, wolf things down quick. Yeah. And we kind of detach from that type of awareness.
Yeah.
And other things that are helpful for a certain amount of time is doing things like cutting out alcohol for 30, 60 days to really see, again, like you're talking about, like, how does this affect me? A lot of times there's just kind of so much noise within our bodies, we can't even tell these things.
Right. And you wouldn't know unless you cut it out for a certain period of time. Then you could really see like, oh, this does make me feel a little bit different.
Exactly. I mean,
Because it does affect. It does honestly. What you put in your body does affect how you feel.
100%. And most people, if you never try something like this, you're not going to know necessarily how you feel, whether that's a really, really good outcome or it's not that much of a difference. Then you at least you have the confidence of like, okay, I do pretty well with this. I can keep it around.
Yep. Last one I think talk about here is it's helpful to do these things to reduce the decision fatigue.
That is
right.
a real
And
thing.
I think it's so like with nutrition, sometimes you don't even know where to start. And it's like, man, how do I even start to eat different? How do I even start to get the right things? And I think something that is super helpful is, hey, I'm going to pick a day of the week, and you have someone to do this with at a certain time to be like, I'm going to food prep at this time. Yeah. Say on Sunday, we're going to get groceries. We're going to spend the afternoon food prepping. What that does is it makes 15 or more positive decisions all at once to avoid, in the middle of the week and being like, oh man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
All right. Something as simple as use a big grill to cook a bunch of protein, cook a bunch of potatoes, cook a bunch of broccoli, right? And store that so that, your first half of the week or first all the way through Thursday is accounted for. And I know people who do this and it really sets them up well. And I think that's something that they would say has changed their life in the way of, all my lunches for the week are cooked.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what I'm going to be putting in my body then.
Yeah.
Hard to do, but worth it.
Yeah.
Helpful if you can do it.
Exactly.
And then this is a big one. I think starting your day off right? I am going to start my day off with 30 to 50 grams of protein. I think a big one for a lot of people is they can't get enough protein in the day. And when you start your day off with a good meal, packet full of protein, you're on track.
Yeah.
When someone doesn't have breakfast, they're behind already, They're behind in their protein, and it's hard to catch up because in the middle of the day you get busy, You're on a schedule, you're at work, you only have a certain amount of breaks. But packing in protein in the beginning of the day, something super helpful. I've found helpful, and a lot of people have found helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I think this one, actually reducing decision fatigue, that actually points to one of the principles of all of these kind of hard lines that we're saying are good. People don't realize how difficult it is to have to make so many decisions around your nutrition spread throughout a week when things are the busiest, when you have the most going on.
Yeah.
If you make a bunch of those decisions all at once, like you're saying, that takes care of a big amount of problems that people run into.
And a lot of times, this is a hard one to get started with, Because it's like, it does take time. It takes preparation, but you get good at it.
Yeah, totally.
Like that's something that this is kind of like a habit builder of like, the first couple times it might be a little bit tough, but then it's like
Autopilot.
second nature.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can just get it started and build that habit, it will change a lot of things in your nutrition.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So big picture, if we envision someone who has made two hard lines with their nutrition, one, I'm going to not keep ultra processed food in my house. That's one.
Yep.
Two, I'm going to prep for an hour every week.
Yep.
That environment that you're in every day is way better for your nutrition because of those two firm things that you've set in place. Yep. So that's what we're getting at here. Sometimes drawing some hard lines is helpful.
Yeah. And then even with good boundaries they can become a problem, if they're too rigid, or they come from a wrong motivation.
For sure.
So a lot of times even something good can turn bad.
Yeah. And that's where we can talk about some hard lines that are not helpful, right? So we can transition to that type of approach where being so firm and rigid is detrimental to your success in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So let's talk about when these things can become harmful. So when rigidity starts to rob you joy from your life, when it's so rigid that you get in a negative mindset with nutrition, making sure you're aware when you're setting rules, you're setting boundaries, it is always helpful. I think we're going to lay out some things to kind of think about that they wouldn't be helpful if these things are happening, right? So first one, when it traps you in a one-way mindset, something like strict macro tracking is the way, or paleo is the only way, keto only way. It can become an identity. It can become something that makes flexibility in your life. And I think flexibility is super important with nutrition. Like, you have to be flexible. If you're not flexible, you start doing all these rules, you mess up, it can become a negative mindset thing.
Yeah, because you're either doing it the right way or you're completely off the rails. It's very all or nothing mindset.
Yeah, and then it's hard to, when life gets busy, different seasons, right? It's hard to make that switch and pivot in a way that is helpful, right? And make little changes because you're so stuck to one way or nothing at all.
Right. And most people don't think of a week where you're traveling, or a week where you have 2 birthday parties, or insert X amount of holidays, right?
Yeah, you get injured, you don't work out as much, or, yeah,
there's so many variables, so many ways your life changes. Your nutrition needs to be able to ebb and flow with that.
Right.
So if your nutrition is creating stress or guilt in your life, that is definitely a unhelpful hard line in the sand. Right. Food is a good thing. We should enjoy it. It nourishes you. It fuels all your activities. It tastes good, like when you make it the right way. Yeah. You shouldn't feel like a failure if you're stepping outside of some new system for your nutrition that you're trying to stick to.
So what would this look like? Give an example.
Let's say we're having a birthday party this week, and I have had 5 successful days in a row of sticking to my macros. And I'm looking at that birthday party, and I'm not thinking of the memories I'm going to make with friends or blowing out the candles on the birthday cake or whatever it is. I'm thinking instead of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my streak.
I'm laughing because I've done this.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. So I'm not laughing because it's common.
Yeah.
In a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
Because it's happened to me.
Yeah.
And I think, this is not helpful.
It's not helpful. It's not helpful long term. Sure, you might be able to like skip a couple birthday parties and your life doesn't suffer for it, but it catches up to you, and it's a recipe for hitting burnout.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yep.
And it's just no way to live. You should be able to have strong days with your nutrition, and then other days where like, hey, I'm going to be a little bit off today, but I'm going to get back on track right after.
Yeah. And messing up doesn't mean you're a failure.
No.
And we'll talk about that at the end. Like, some takeaways. Like, no, we're human beings.
Yeah. And any wise nutrition plan accounts for things like this. Like, no one is saying,
super important.
No one is saying like you're either on with your nutrition and everything's perfect, or you're off.
Right. Along those lines, I think kind of goes with that is, when it steals joy from experiences like a birthday party, or, you don't want to go out to eat go on a date, or, like those types of things. You're so stuck to counting that you can't have the flexibility of going out and not tracking, or, things like that. Will definitely have you miss out on connection that is super important for you as a person.
Yeah.
So just not being if it's so strict that you can't have that flexibility, harmful.
Definitely. And all of these things kind of foster an obsession or disordered thinking around food. So I think you can kind of see a theme with these unhelpful hard lines in that they just kind of warp your approach and thinking around food in negative ways. So, when you're doing constant tracking without breaks from that, intentional breaks from something where you're really specifically tracking your food, or like we talked about with an all or nothing mindset, having this like fear around food, like if I go off plan, like I'm blowing it and I'm not going to get the results I want. Or even like mentally saying like, I'm a good person when I'm on my nutrition, and when I'm not, I'm a bad person. Like that's not healthy. And that's not the kind of thinking we want to have around our nutrition.
Right. And I mean, last one here, when it makes you feel like you're incapable of making a change. I think a lot of times we don't start something because it's like, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
That kind of perfectionism is something that doesn't help you, right?
Sure.
It is not helpful at all because we're not perfect. There are going to be days where, yeah, you do go off the rails or you splurge or things like that. And I think something that we want you all to understand is that real progress doesn't come from perfection, right? It's being mostly consistent, not perfectly consistent.
Yeah.
You will never be perfectly consistent. It's just not going to happen. So change that word to mostly, right? Most of the times I am consistent, and you will see progress if you can get in that mindset of, I don't need to be perfect, right? And the principles that I'm going to put in my life, I'm going to mostly stick to them and be consistent, whether that be in nutrition or working out, will set you up for a big time success.
Yeah, that's huge right there. It makes it achievable, and that's what this is. It's, dialing your nutrition is achievable. I mean, thinking and being intentional about your nutrition, that's a big key here.
Yeah.
Just paying attention and knowing yourself and thinking about it.
Yeah. So thinking about all kind of what we covered today, super important topic. You are not weak if you need flexibility. You are a human, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that, it's so hard to be all or nothing perfect because it's not going to happen. So creating principles that help you be flexible, super, super important.
So being thoughtful about your motivations and patterns around your nutrition. If you're not sure how to structure things, what would be beneficial for you based on your specific lifestyle, it's also just recognize when you need help and ask for it.
Yeah. I think something that we want you to do after listening to this is reflect on where you are at now, and share it with us, comment it, talk to us at the gym, about hard lines that are helpful for you. Reflect on that, think about that, ponder that, and talk to us. And with that, thanks for listening. Follow, subscribe. Catch us next time.